Hey guys, and welcome to the channel. Today we're talking Starfield. Sorry if there's some weird background noise going on today. Doing this one out of my truck, and some weird truck is across the road from me backing up. But anyway, so in my usual fashion, I'm scrolling Reddit, and I came across this post. It said today is the 1 year anniversary of Shattered Space, and it's kind of crazy to me, like how much time it feels like has passed since Shattered Space, and to think it's only been 1 year is just it's crazy to me. It feels like it's been so long since Bethesda's given us any updates for this game because they've just left us so in the dark. In 2024, we had so many updates from the vehicles to the maps, to the creation kit launching to Shattered Space, and then, you know, ever since Shattered Space, which was exactly 1 year ago, it's just been completely quiet, and it just feels like it's been such a long year. With that said, I wanted to talk about Shattered Space for a minute and just reflect back. Honestly, Shattered Space got a lot of hate when it launched, and it's kind of interesting, so let's jump into the comments. One user said, underrated DLC. If you like Starfield, you like this. I think the reason it got a bad reputation is because it didn't come with the overhauls people wanted from the game. Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think they were looking at it to be like a Phantom Liberty or something like that. It was a complete overhaul to the game. And Shattered Space isn't that. It's just a little extra quest line and extra fashion. Someone else commented, that and a bunch of people already hated Starfield, bought the premium edition, and then went to hate the review that they also didn't want. Yeah, 100%. If you bought the premium edition and you got Shattered Space free of charge, you also got 1,000 or so creation credits. So, yeah, absolutely. Because a lot of them said Bethesda was only, another commenter said, because a lot of them said that Bethesda was only making DLC to try to save Starfield, despite the fact that DLC was announced before the game was released and launched exactly around the time frame given the initial launch. Yeah, no, exactly. I think this work was mostly done, or at least in the works before the game could even come out, um, and therefore it wasn't meant to save the game. It was just meant to be an addition to the game. Still amazes me. Another commenter said, "Still amazes me how the internet is so blatantly assured it will be a Phantom Liberty upgrade, but for Starfield." Yeah, 100%. And that's kind of what I was mentioning earlier. There's been, Elden Ring's expansion, even though Elden Ring was pretty good to begin with, Cyberpunk's expansion, Phantom Liberty, which candidly I thought Cyberpunk was pretty good to begin with too. But this wasn't that, and people that thought it was going to be that are surely going to be disappointed. But Shattered Space, in my opinion, added like a lot to Starfield. I mean, it gave you a whole new system. It gave you a giant tile on a planet. It was a lot more traditional Bethesda in that you stayed on the same planet. You had all these quests on the planet. You had 50 plus locations to explore on the planet. You had new guns. You had new enemies. You had no new story. Not no. You had new storyline. I thought Shattered Space was great personally. Another commenter said, main DLC quest story is great, especially near the end when the slate reveals information about Karen Varun. However, as you mentioned, the expansion didn't introduce enough new gameplay mechanics or having enough new content to justify its price. I believe it's the main reason people continue to complain about it. Followed by another commenter that said it flopped for a reason. Um, Here's my take on the price, and this is probably an unpopular opinion, but this is my opinion. Tell me if you agree in the comments section. DLC for Shattered Space was about $30, if I recall correctly, included in the premium edition and with the creation credits if you went that route. I probably got 30 to 60 hours of enjoyment out of Shattered Space. It continues to be part of my game to this day, where every new character, it's another area I can explore. Um, it had a decent amount of new quests and mechanics and things of that nature, gameplay mechanics and things like that of that nature in the game. I think the real thing with Shattered Space that people were disappointed about, and Bethesda even brought this up, was They were giving us all these free updates, and then Shattered Space felt a little underwhelming for $30. And had Shattered Space come with the vehicle, the maps, the ability to start the creation kits, and the settings was another thing that Bethesda added. They added the ability to kind of do like survival mode with all these different types of settings and configurations. I'm just curious, had all of that been the case with Shattered Space, if people would have complained? Let me know what you think. Honestly, if you put all those things into the equation, the Shattered Space expansion's not really that bad. Let's see what else other people had to say. I don't understand why they didn't include the Vroom ship components in the expansion. Another commenter said, I mean, it kind of makes sense. In the base game, Andrasia tells us they don't have much in the way of resources, so they have to smuggle what they can into the system. Full-on ship production could be beyond what their capacity is, but at the same time, I think Vroom ship habs would have been cool. Yeah, I mean, that's the bottom line to that, right? The Vroom in the base game don't have Vroom specific ships. So everybody that wanted Vroom ship parts is probably going to be disappointed because the Vroom does not make ships. That's all there is to it. And I'm gonna like throw something out there that's gonna surprise people. Most of the factions don't make ships. There's no Freestar Collective ship builder. Freestar Collective uses ship parts that are common across the systems. They use Shroud. They use Hope Tech. I think they mostly use Hope Tech. Spoilers, but I think they mostly use Hope Tech. But yeah, I'm trying to think of the other factions here, right? Like, name me a faction. Ryujin doesn't have ship parts, do they? Ryujin's based in Neon, but there's a shipbuilder in Neon. Ryujin's not the shipbuilder. Who else is there? Go through them. Do the pirates have ship parts? No. The pirates don't build their own ships either. There's several producers of ships in the Starfield world, none of which are the factions. So why you thought you were going to get Varun ship parts is beyond me. None of the factions build their own ships. They build ships, but they build them out of parts that are scrapped from other ships, or they are mostly, I feel like they're just using ships that exist, kind of converting them over. So they're not ship manufacturers. So that one's kind of on us for having weird expectations on that to begin with. Another hot take on that that's probably not going to be popular, but I'll bring it up, is that Bethesda has this creation kit thing that's a revenue source for them, and they have all these great creators that make lots and lots and lots of ship parts. So ship parts are kind of a interesting thing that so many people wanted ship parts to be part of this expansion because ship parts are so readily available anyway. If you go in creations, there's like a gazillion free ship parts you can download. And maybe once again, a lot of this is crazy to me that, and you can go check out some of my other videos where I talk more about the creations aspect, but people just don't take advantage of creations. And it's not like Cyberpunk mods. It's not like you have to have a PC and you have to know what you're doing. It's literally built into modern Bethesda games like Fallout and Starfield. It's on the main menu. You click creations, you search for what you're looking for, ship parts. Can you go to creations, click ship parts? So you go there and you'll get all these ship parts, and most of them are free. And you can have ship parts to your heart's content. Another mod I'd recommend is Easy Ship Building, actually. It allows all the ship parts to be at every one of the ship vendors. So you don't have to fly around the entire universe to build your ships out. That was kind of a challenge, kind of fun in its own way, but also kind of challenging, and something that I haven't really played vanilla Starfield since Creations came out. I've probably played 15, 20 character playthroughs now in Starfield over the last 2 years since the game launched, and I only played like one vanilla playthrough ever. So for me, I'm always using the creations mods, things of that nature. It just makes the game super fun. And but to my point, it allows you to customize your experience to whatever your liking is every single time, and you don't have to be so worried about oh man, I wish I had more ship parts. There's a gazillion ship parts, guys. Go check it out. Another commenter said, having zero new ship parts in the game with shipbuilding as a major factor um, is so dumb. I think he's trying to say it's a major factor of why the expansion was so dumb. Once again, creations, ship parts, voila. I, I don't know what else to tell you on this one. It's ridiculous. Another commenter said, I also wish that more of a room themed decor had been included, like a serpent statues and the round of hearth, table, stew pot, and that every dang house in Danza. Yeah. I'll give you that one. It would have been nice to see more unique collectible pieces, foods, uh, I would say ship parts. But the reality is, you can get a lot of ship parts. But yeah, no, I think like more of a room theme stuff would be kind of neat. Like Bethesda games are a game of items, and collecting items for decorating your homes and ships and things like that is kind of part of the fun. So it would be nice to see more of that kind of stuff. Uh, so when you left the main planet in shattered space and went on to your other adventures, you'd have some cool room stuff to show for it. There was like some tattoos and things that I don't know if people found that were specific to the expansion that are pretty sweet and rack those. There was a couple pieces of apparel that were kind of neat. Um, like I said, there was one of my favorite or a couple of my favorite guns in the whole game came from that expansion. The Varoom guns in general are really kick ass, but in general, yeah, I agree. And that's going to about do it for this one, guys. Just want to give you my quick thoughts. Overall, I really enjoyed Shattered Space. Like I said, I probably got 30 to 60 hours of gameplay out of it. I paid $30. My metric usually is like, if I can pay $1 an hour for fun in video games, like I'm happy as a clam. So I got, like I said, like 50 cents to $1 an hour of fun out of Shattered Space. We paid $30. I spent 30 to 60 hours on it. You do the math. And for me, that's all the value I need. So I don't need to pay $30 and play 300 hours. The, I see the amount of effort and work that goes into these games. They are so much more robust than they ever used to be, and I just appreciate them for what they are. So I love the Bethesda games. I didn't hate Shattered Space as much as some of my colleagues of the internet did. I understand where the criticism comes from. There's always more they could have done. Um, I would definitely say if Terrain Armada, which is the next one coming out, it sounds like in 2026, isn't more than Shattered Space, though, that would definitely disappoint me. Because we've been waiting 2 years for it. And price tag wise, I mean, maybe it's $60, maybe it's $30, maybe it's free. It'd be kind of cool if it was any of those would be okay, but free would be great. But I'm not expecting that. But I am kind of expecting big things for that, and I think you are going to get some revamp, some overhaul, and some systems in that. And we should all be pretty excited about it as Starfield fans. So, if you made it to this point in the video, thank you for sticking around. If you like content like this, consider subscribing. And I appreciate you, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.